truth, Tennessee Homestead. How the heck are you today? Got this one going up a little bit late. So I'm doing some work around the house here. What I want to talk to you about today, or tonight, is who represents you in the government? What do you think about that for just a minute? Who represents you in the government? Because you're going to quickly discover that nobody, nobody, absolutely nobody. The only time that you are of any concern is on election campaigns. And they'll tell you whatever they think they need to tell you to get elected. And then they'll go to Washington, D.C. Well, even before they go to Washington, D.C., the donor class pretty much buys them. I'd heard one guy that was in the donor class said it takes about $10,000 to get a senator. Now, they sell pretty cheap these days. Military-industrial complex, they got Pentagon and most of the legislative body in their back pockets. Money talks. That's simple. Money talks. When the lobbyists come walking around with their briefcases full of cash, these guys pay attention to what they have to say. Now, people could be dying in the streets here in America, such as in Ohio, that train wreck just contaminated the hell out of that place, and the place becomes inhabitable. But so far, we've done nothing for those people. Nothing for those people. Matter of fact, we've had several government officials go down there, even from the EPA, saying, don't worry about it, drink the water, you're fine. Then you have, you look at the fire that they had in Hawaii. $700 a family in Hawaii? They couldn't much give a crap about you or me or anyone else. And I love it. I've noticed that they change with every year how much they've spent in Ukraine. Now it's down to $100 billion. $100 billion. Let's go back to the year before that. They just had a setup for $250 billion that they went through. So just basic calculation says that there's $350 billion, kids. But you got to understand something. This started in 2013 and has been funded all the way through. Building a military, getting all the equipment purchased for them, blah, 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 blah. See, it takes a while to do a coup and to go up against a country like Russia, especially at the price that we have to pay for weapons. Well, there's another one that'll get you. I wonder how it is that even now the Pentagon agrees that, you know what, Russian weaponry is far more advanced than ours is, and a lot cheaper to build. Now, of course, Russia has their own factory. We don't. Okay. Military-industrial complex has a few, but as you can see, where they can't even put together a bunch of 155 rounds, it takes them years. Really? Yeah, okay. I buy into that. That tells me that they've got very limited production capabilities. We are spending astronomical sums through the Pentagon to these military-industrial complex systems, Raytheon, so forth, Boeing. I can tell you this right now. Our government is spending probably 4 to 5 times for a weapon system than what the Russians spend for theirs. You can take that F-35. Ooh, heck of an aircraft. Got all the bells and whistles. So high-tech. Yeah, now they just keep it flying. A lot of them have crashed. And we have that with a lot of our aircraft. We have missiles for the Patriot systems that cost 5 times more for the Patriot missile system than it does for the S-400 system of Russia's. And guess what? Russia's S-400 system is better than the Patriot. Son of a gun. And they've just come out with an S-500 now, which is really nice. It can track our stealth aircraft and blow it out of the sky. And I'm sure if we're willing to spend a few $100 billion to Raytheon or one of these guys to start working on something similar, they could probably come up with it. Of course, we're going to have to pay for all the R&D and all the testing and You know, if the equipment doesn't work right, well, and it blows up on them, then, well, we're going to charge you for another one because that one blew up. See what I'm saying? And our politicians go, okay. You wonder why we're bankrupt. And we are bankrupt. Our bonds, we've slid through so far without having to default. Okay? Everybody's saying that by next year we're going to default. When we default on our bonds, everybody's going to dump the bonds, and our dollar's pretty much done. That's a shame. Okay, I'm not a money expert, although not giving you any advice, but having a little silver and gold laying around isn't a bad idea, because we don't know how rocky this could all get, and God knows our politicians, they're jokes. They're jokes. If you look at what Congress does, this is going to blow you away. If you really look at what they do, is they spend their time in hearings. Lots of hearings. Oh, yeah. And they bring the same clowns in front of them who don't give them the answers they're looking for, or don't give them any answers at all to their questions. Oh, we'll send that to you in writing, which they never do. They totally just blow Congress off because they know Congress isn't going to do anything. We had the head of the NSA get in front of Congress and lied to them, just boldly lied, on 2 separate occasions that they were not spying on Americans at all. Edward Snowden presented documentation to Congress. They came after him over it. Okay, this man's now living in Russia. He had to leave this country because we wanted him to be a traitor. He turned over these top secret information. Well, he turned it over to WikiLeaks primarily because our Congress wasn't doing nothing with it. You want to know why? It would require them to prosecute this guy for lying to him out of the NSA. Lying before Congress under oath is a felony. How many people have you seen that's went to jail for that? Your government, and didn't you, if you watch any C-SPAN or you see it on television sometimes where they're standing up in front of a empty Congress spewing their what great things they're going to do or what bad things other people do. It's campaigning on our dime. They're supposed to be working for us, not standing out there trying to make brownie points, and that's all they do. I have sat and listened to these people talk for years. And I got to tell you, there's been relatively few exceptional, I would even call them intelligent people in Washington, D.C. Oh, they're good crooks. Gosh darn it, they got that down to a science. They're truly intelligent, who are looking out for the American people. We need to get a lot smarter. Because let me tell you something, folks. We can have some very, very, very hard times coming at us if we can't get this government to pull its head out of its tush. And the only way you're going to do it is you're going to send most of them home. Oh, I know, my Congress lady, she's the best. Yeah? How'd she vote on Ukraine? Has she been spending billions and billions and hundreds of billions on a war that is now lost? And you can tell that by the way the news reports changed on it, and the way our governments and Europe are beginning to go, well, you know, we're kind of out of money and out of weapons. Kids, it looks like you're on your own. I can almost guarantee you probably this winter Russia will crush them, and that'll be the end of that. There are some high estimates, as many as 500,000 men have died in this war. A lot of civilians have died in this war on both sides. Ukraine was a coup done by the United States of America. And by the way, we're doing more of them too. All over the world, we do these, and they can't even take care of us. They can't fix a bridge. They can't fix water pipes. They can't take care of people that have lost their homes in a fire. They can't do any of that for the American people. But boy, let me tell you something. They'll all wrap themselves in a blue and yellow flag and go, oh boy, we need to spend another $100 billion. Yeah, that's our government. They think more of a country halfway across the world than they think about the country that they're destroying. And they are destroying it, folks. Just start following the financials. It's boring. The bond markets, things of this nature. We are headed for some really tough times. The problem is we pay a tax on every dollar we make. The rich do not. The big corporations do not. Oh, they'll tell you, oh, we got high taxes. We got that, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Most of the IRS tax regulations are loopholes for the rich. China and Russia both have a very simple tax system. One the Reagan administration wanted to put in place in this country, and oh my God, Congress had heart attacks. Oh, geez, how are we going to get funding that way? Yeah, flat tax. 13.5%. That's what Russia and China both use. And they got more cash in the bank than we got. Think on that in a minute. We are bankrupt. If it was not for the kabuki dance that the Federal Reserve and the Treasury Department's doing right now, we would be bankrupt. If we were a business or an individual, we would be bankrupt. This ain't going to get any better. And the world is trying to get rid of the dollar. When that happens, Katie bar the door. You're done. As a nation. And you know these politicians know that. They know it. And all they're looking to do is make as much money as they can humanly possibly make between now and then. That's it. Let's see if we can push that off a ways, because we got more money to make. Honest politicians don't last. Here's a question I'd ask your representatives that are campaigning. Will you give me your word that you will introduce a bill and push it to outlaw lobbyists? They're not allowed to be there. They're not allowed to give you any money. They're not allowed to give you any trips. They're not even allowed to give you tickets to the latest circus. Because if they do, they are bribing an elected official, and the elected official should be arrested and put on trial for accepting a bribe. That would solve it, wouldn't it? We should say that, okay, if you're a big-time corporate leader or a bank owner and you want to donate to a politician, we got a big pot over here. And that big pot, we got one for the Republicans and one for the Democrats and maybe one for whoever. And we're going to take your donation and we're going to spread it out amongst them. Guess what? You'd see those guys, I'll just keep my money, thank you anyway. You want to know why our manufacturing moved to China? Donor class. George Carlin said it the best. He said, this is the class of people that own this country. They own it. They got the best of everything. They got the judges in their back pockets. They bought and sold the Senate and the House and the presidency. They got total control. Like he said, it's a big club. And you and I aren't in it. They don't give a damn about the Americans. True working class Americans. It is time we quit playing their political game. You voted to give away $100,000, $100 billion worth of our money to a country that we know little about and really don't much care about, while leaving people in Hawaii that had their homes burned out get $700. Good Lord. And the people in Ohio, they were just left hanging out to dry. We got infrastructure falling down all over this country where bridges are unsafe, our water systems are unsafe. Are they doing anything about that? Hell no. But they got all that money to spend on that. Yeah, buddy. Because, see, that money goes back into the defense contractors, which they get a little kickback on. So it ends up back in our pockets. See how it works. That's the reason we are such a warring nation. We need to make that a non-profitable thing. We should tell people like Raytheon and Boeing, we catch you passing funds off to parties or to an individual politician. You will be banned for life, forever, of even submitting a bid on a government contract. That'd stop that. And maybe we wouldn't be paying 5 and 6 times the normal price for any weapon we buy. Oh, they tell us it's the latest and the greatest. Well, guess what? Russia has pretty much shown us over here. And even our own Pentagon went, gee, we don't have anything like that what they got. Theirs is far more advanced. We're waking up to that. You wonder why China spends a lot less money on their military? I know why Russia spends a lot less on their military. Because they got factories in their plants and they build them themselves. And they're not being raked over the coals. See, they don't play these games with their contractors. They don't. Our politicians go in, and I want you to think on this. Just sit down and do the math. They make close to $200,000 a year. Okay? I used to make that kind of money. Yeah, I was programming, you bet. Funny though, after doing it for 4, 6, 8 years, I wasn't a multimillionaire. Think on that a minute. How are these people getting so rich? Making a couple $100,000 a year in a matter of, few terms. And heavens if they stay in there. I didn't know that this was going on. I'd have screamed about it earlier. They kicked Nancy Pelosi and Steny Hoyer or whatever out of their offices. And do you know that these people, not only do we put up with this nonsense, but once they're out of office, okay, once they retire, they keep their offices there in Washington, D.C. so that they play a lobbyist to the politicians that are still there. And you and I get to pay for the upkeep and the maintenance and so forth of that Capitol building, don't we? And we have people in there that have nice big fancy offices working against us. Wake up, America. Not going to go any longer on this. I hope you're paying attention, and I hope you start paying attention hard. You got an election coming, and I can almost assure you, I had some reps in Tennessee that are pretty good, I thought pretty good people, but I looked at their voting records. Got to get out online, look up the votes. And you will find most of them, Republican and Democrat, voting for this warmongering nonsense because it lines their pockets. Vote them out. I don't care who's running against them. Vote them out. Maybe you have to run against them. Vote them out. This warmongering has done nothing. As a military veteran, I can tell you right now, I left a lot of friends in places that shouldn't be left there. Shouldn't even been there. Should not have been there. I heard George Bush at a conference talking, making a joke out of Iraq. How many millions died there? Civilians. His little shock and awe he was so proud of. And he was playing this little game of, ooh, where's those weapons of mass destruction? Over here? Nope, none over there. Over here? None over there. That sucker should be in prison. I'll tell you that straight up. Should be in prison. Barack Obama brags today now about, I'm really a good killer. I use those missiles to even kill U.S. civilians, which is a violation of law. Wake up, America. These people will kill you if they decide to. Now, how do we get this on? They'll tell you, our discretionary spending is so little. Yeah, well, okay. Let's look at some bigger things then. How about the CIA, FBI, Justice Department, definitely the Department of Education? Let's start going down the checklist and just tell them, okay, y'all don't work here anymore. Pack your offices up, go home. Until we balance a budget. And that's what it'd have to be. The American voter is going to have to say, you will either balance the budget by getting rid of the services that are worthless and have proven themselves to be corrupt. EPA, don't need that. Look how much good they did over to Ohio. You could hire the lab chemists to go over there and find out that that was all screwed up. But the EPA said, no problem. Department of Transportation, now they did a stellar job over there, didn't they? Yeah. Let's start looking at, these departments have to go. They've created more departments you can shake a stick at. They've got departments for departments of departments of departments. Tell them that's enough. Game's over. You will balance the budget. You are not going to take away from public aid. Okay, although I have some problems with public aid, I think that we need to put that as a temporary kind of service unless they're disabled. And the kids you sign up with is the only kids that are going to count. Okay, if you can have another dozen, we don't care, we're not paying for them. Let's clean this mess up. And the only way it's going to get cleaned up is if Americans start looking hard at the information that's available to you, namely their voting records, and you will be amazed. And read those bills. You'll even be more amazed. It's time we bring this to a close, or I can guarantee you, you're staring at probably worse than the Great Depression. You're staring it in the eyes, and it's coming straight for you. And it's brought to you by your elected officials. Isn't that wonderful? Yeah. Although, they'll tell you, oh, elect us again and we'll go back and fix this for you. Yeah. No, they won't. They'll scrape up more money out of the coffers and keep lining their pockets. Period. There's probably a few good ones in there. They may suffer the wrath because of all the bad ones that they haven't stood up to stop. Time to clean house. And there is not an ounce of difference between a Democrat and a Republican. It's definitely the uniparty. They're all there for one reason and one reason only. To screw the Americans out of their money. That's it. That's all they want to do. Okay? It's time to wake up, America. Or one of these wars is going to catch us by surprise. If this one in Ukraine doesn't. Russia has a very simple policy. If they at any point in time think that Russia would lose this war, be damaged by this war, their people under threat by a war, they got a big red button they can push. And it's very high-tech stuff. We can't stop it. It's coming at us. And we won't be here anymore. Because, see, our government decided to save a little money a long time ago because they found out that we would put a drain on their society, that we'd be using up their resources if we survived a nuclear holocaust. So let's just get rid of those bomb shelters, okay? Yeah, there we go. Russia's got a bunch of them all over the place. So does China. See, it seems like those governments, although our politicians will sit up and tell you, oh, they're authoritarians. Well, they're authoritarian enough to seem to take care of their people. And our democracies, if you look around, they're a joke. And we are not really a democracy. We're a republic. Time we stood up and act like it. Taxation without representation. That's what you got today, folks. Wasn't that long ago, a few hundred years, that caused us to take on the biggest army in the world because we refused to have taxation without representation. Wake up, America. It's probably one of the few times you're going to have the opportunity in 2024 to go, I've had enough. Study their records. Write them. Call them. But right now, headed into political times, we need to stand up and pay attention. Love you guys. Appreciate you. I hope you're having a good week. We'll talk to you real soon.